Hi, everyone. Welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Tonight I'm excited to be talking with you a little bit about substitute teacher plans and one specific kind of plan that I leave for students and teachers, substitute teachers, and then an example of that. That's what I'll be talking about in just a second. But first, let me just say that if you hear me talk about a book or resource, something you're interested in this video or any of these videos, I always have a page on my blog. I call it the links page, where it houses all the links and direct links to get to things that I talk about. You can find that if you click at the link at the bottom of whatever video, streaming, audio, podcast, whatever place you're listening or watching this. Or you can go to my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, and click the video tab and find the links page. Also, one more thing, upcoming, if you want to not see me through a screen but want to see me in person, I'm going to be at the Ohio Music Educators State Conference. That is the first weekend in February 2nd and 3rd. I'm doing 3 sessions between the 2 days. I hope you'll come out if you're in Ohio. I don't know, or surrounding states if you want to, hop the border and come to Ohio and see those workshops. It's going to be a great time. I'm also going to be at the Oklahoma Orff chapter just north of Oklahoma City. That's on February 10th. And then also be at the New Jersey Music Educators Association Conference. That is the last weekend of February 22nd, 23rd. And I'm doing, I think, 4 sessions there. But I'll be there in Atlantic City. So hope if you're in the area, you will come and join us. Okay, so I was thinking about this last week because I knew I had to be gone for a dentist appointment. And I thought about how every time I write subplans, I stress about subplans. So just number one, validation that if you're like, ooh, I stress about subplans, guess what? We all do. It's been happening. I've been doing subplans for a long time for, my whole career, and I still am worried that I'm not doing it right or that I'm not leaving enough stuff. So I wanted to share one of the resources that I like to leave with substitute teachers that has been very successful for me and hopefully will be for you too. Because writing subplans can be kind of stressful. I think there are a couple kinds of subplans. There are subplans for when you know you're going to be gone, and then you can leave maybe more active things or maybe things that have or are closer related to what you're doing in music right then at that moment in the curriculum, or could be, if you know who your sub is going to be, if you know who your sub is going to be, you could sometimes write the plans for them and write more intricate plans depending on the sub who you're going to have. That's one kind of plan where you're going to be gone. Then there's emergency sub plans, and that's for if you wake up in the morning and you're like, ooh, I'm sick, or my kid is sick, or my car, the tire blew out. I don't know, where you have to, in a pinch, have to have a sub plan ready to go. And I think that is a different kind of plan because you don't know who's going to cover your room and you don't know what they know how to do. It's funny with substitute teachers over the years, I've learned, don't expect anything unless you personally know that teacher. And even then, who knows? Because I feel like I leave very intricate, not intricate, but very thought out plans where I have contingencies in case, the internet's down, or this isn't working, or this isn't working. It's all these weird things. And then you try and plan ahead a little bit, but you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes maybe the sub who you thought was going to come is not the sub who comes. And like there was one time where I left like a lot of sub plans, like nice plans for people. I even was like, choose this or this or this, like I gave them options. And then I came back the next day and asked a student, I was like, how was music? And she was like, oh, it was great, we did the limbo. And I was like, did the limbo? That wasn't in my plans. Hold on, wait, how long did you do the limbo? She's like, for the whole class. I was like, what? Where did the substitute teacher even get a limbo stick? I don't really have anything limbo stick relate, like size and shape. What? And so and then I asked another student from like not secondary but like primary like grades, and I was like, wait, what did you do? And they're like, we did the limbo. I was like, for the whole time? And I'm imagining that this teacher, I was like, you spent 8 hours in our building and you did the limbo the whole time. I can't imagine. Anyway, but all that to say, you never know. You never know. So I always try and leave sub plans that are accessible for no matter who it is, and I try and leave them things where they get a choice of how they want to take the lesson. If they're more comfortable doing like a video aside, or if they're more comfortable with a PowerPoint, they're more comfortable with worksheets, they're more comfortable with whatever. If they are comfortable with student interaction, cool. I want to leave them options, and I want to leave them something that's related to our musical content, and that can be kind of tricky. So one of the things that I've also heard a lot in like the Facebook forums, and as I'm watching and trying to listen to other teachers and learn from other teachers, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I have to leave no tech subplans, which I don't have that stipulation. My principal doesn't care if I leave something that's related to technology. In fact, our students have one-to-one technology, and so it's encouraged. But I know some people are like, no tech, or maybe your room just doesn't have it, or maybe you're going to have to go room to room. I don't know. Taking the tech component out can sometimes make things easier. And that's tricky when you say like no tech subplans, because you're like, ooh, there's this really cool video and then we can build off of. Well, no, not if you can't use the video. So I have resorted to books, and not because I want to have no tech, but because it's always a fallback that I know that even if the internet's down, even if our power's out or the computers are down or whatever, a sub can read a book. Right? And so I have a couple books that I'm going to share that are like brand new to me but are very fun, and then one that is like a tried and true in the resources I use for that. So 2 books that are kind of newer to me. One of these I shared last year. So I shared this one last year in the Musical Mondays. This is called The Girl Who Heard the Music. How One Pianist and 85,000 Bottles and Cans Brought New Hope to an Island. And this is by Marnie Fogelson and Mahani Teva, Teave, not sure if that's how you pronounce it. And the pictures are by Marta Alvarez Miguens. Okay, so very beautiful pictures. So I had to see the illustrator too. Okay, so the first page, I'll just read just a couple pages so you can see sort of how it looks. On Rapa Nui, a small island that is watched over by giant statues called Moai, it seemed to a little girl named Mahani that music was everywhere. From the lullabies that mothers sang to the rhythm of the waves hitting the rocks, to the crickets calling to each other at dusk, music was at the heart, the Ananya of Rapa Nui. Sometimes visitors to Rapa Nui gave the children music lessons. Classical music sounded different from the ukuleles and songs Mahani knew. She fell in love with the way it made her feel, and her fingers itched to play the instruments she heard. Every time Mahani had to say goodbye, her heart dropped like a tipani flower past its prime. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to read, and I'll show you the rest. So a music teacher comes and moves to the island. A pianist teaches her how to play, but then, of course, the pianist has to leave. But another visitor comes. He also plays. He hears Mahani play, and he knew that she should go and play around the world and get great experience. And so she does. She leaves the island. She goes. She gets great experience, but she knows she wants to bring that experience back home to the island. And also the other problem with the island not having music, the other problem is that there's a lot of trash in the ocean around the island, and lots of garbage that is becoming a big problem. So as she goes, they have the ideas about how they're going to bring music to the island, how they're going to transform things, and basically they make a music school, but they use recycled materials. And they use, it says 12 tons of cardboard, 40,000 aluminum cans, 25,000 glass bottles, 20,000 plastic bottles, and 2,500 tires. More than 7 years of garbage now lives in the school's walls. So they built it out of garbage, and then they made it a music school. So super, super cool book, super cool pictures, really cool story, and one that would probably be new to your students. So this is something that I would absolutely leave and say, like, please read this book. And then, maybe have coloring pages that matches, maybe have a game or story that matches. But this book would be something that I think substitute teachers could absolutely read. It would be a great connection. This is kind of new to me. I found it last year, but I thought I'd mention it again. Right now, it's on Amazon hardcover for like $11. Anyway, I put a link on the links page. As I was like finding the link for this book, because I wanted to anytime I talk about something, I want to put it on the links page. I was like, $11? That's pretty good. It's a pretty new book. Okay, another book. This is called Listen, How Evelyn Glennie, a Deaf Girl, Changed Percussion. I'll read just a couple pages of this too. This is written by Shannon Stocker and illustrated by Devin Holsworth. This is a story of music, of obstacles, of strength and hard work, of all you can accomplish when you dream, if only you listen. If your ears can't hear the strum or hum or thrum of a melody, can music still swirl and whirl? It did for Evelyn Glennie. Listen. In the late 1960s, Scottish music rolled through the farm hills of Aberdeenshire, Scotland, where Evelyn Glennie grew up. Her heart swelled when air blew from the bellows of her father's accordion on Christmas Eve. On Sundays, she sat at the organ bench next to her mother, a curtain closed behind them, creating their own tiny world of pipes and pedals. From the moment Evelyn heard her first note, music held her heart. Evelyn played piano songs by ear at 8 years old. Tink, tink, tink. Woo-da-woo! Clarinet notes slid through her lips when she was 10, but soon her ears began to hurt. Voices became distant whispers. Evelyn's parents took her to the doctor. The audiologist frowned. The nerves in Evelyn's ears are degenerating. She's never going to be able to play music. She's going to need hearing aids for the rest of her life, and she's going to need to go to a school for the deaf. Evelyn didn't understand. Only 30 minutes earlier, she'd been able to play music, and now she couldn't? Why? She didn't want to wear hearing aids, read lips, and play music. She didn't want to go to a school for the deaf. Evelyn's parents shook their heads at the doctor. No, her father told him. Hearing or not, she will do what she wants to do. So it continues on. She went to academy. Let's see. She still was having a hard time hearing, but she really loved the percussionists. Evelyn knew she wanted to be a part of that. So she went into school for music. They tested her, and she began in the school for percussion lessons. And she did pretty good because she'd had all those years of piano lessons. But her percussion instructor sent her home with a snare drum. No instructions, no sticks, no stand, just a drum. So she tapped it, she pinched it, she scraped it, she rubbed jewelry on it, she did all sorts of things to make different vibrations and sounds. And then he said, "How did you do?" And she said, "I don't know." And he said, "How does a tractor feel?" And she closed her eyes, she felt how it felt, and then she played like an old creaky tractor. And so she took this sound and she played it as she felt it. And so anyway, she had this like really wonderful revelation with her piano teacher. She could feel the music. She could feel sort of that sensation. And so as she's going through life, she did have some trouble listening to people or hearing people, and but she became sensitive to vibrations so that she could like tune an instrument based on where she felt the vibrations in her body. She was able to play things because she learned the vibrations. She learned like for marimba and things like the sticking patterns. Anyway, she kept going and became actually pretty famous. She did pretty well. and I just love the illustrations in all of this. It's really cool, especially if you're teaching new students. There's so many percussion instruments, so you can definitely talk with students about like the different instruments and things that they're seeing in here. But also, just it's a cool, a really really cool story, and I think the illustrations are really just beautiful. Anyway, so she got into an academy, and everyone in the academy agreed no one should be turned away just because of a disability. She did really well in the academy. She got the Queen's Commendation for Music and Academic Excellence, and started performing, doing really great things. She got a Grammy. She did really well with all these great awards. She got a special, she was knighted by the Queen. So anyway, it's just a really super cool story. And in the end it says, Evelyn remembers the audiologist who thought people could only hear with their ears. He was wrong. Losing my hearing, she said, made me a better listener. Evelyn Glennie became the first full-time solo percussionist in the world. She owns more than 2,000 instruments, all of which sing in her hands. Throughout her life, many people told her, no, you can't, but Evelyn always knew she could, and you can too if you only listen. Anyway, and that has a little bit about Evelyn in the back. Super cool book. I love the illustrations in here. I love the story. I think it's a super cool addition, and you could absolutely dig up more information about Evelyn Glennie if you want, or you could leave a very simple percussion lesson, maybe for rhythm sticks or something for students, or a lesson on vibration. If you wanted to use it in your own classroom, think about all the cool things you could do with it. You could absolutely try different non-pitch percussion instruments, have students feel them, listen to them, not just like hit or scrape or whatever, but like listen and actually see how are the different ways you can make sound. I mean, there's so many cool things you could do in your classroom. One more book I want to share, I'm realizing that just all three of these books just happen to be about women musicians, which is how cool that all three of these are that. But this is another one that is pretty well known now, but just in case, I'll read a couple pages. This is called Drum Dream Girl. This is How One Girl's Courage Changed Music. Actually, it's not just books about women. It's books about women who like overcome huge hardships to do what they really want to do and make music in fantastic and wonderful ways. And I did not play. I'm just sitting here going like, wait, there's like a theme here. I wish that had been intentional, but it just happens to be like these are books that I think are amazing that I have in my classroom library that I'm like, well, yeah, I could leave that for a sub. Yeah, I could build a lesson around that. Yeah. So all cool books. Go check them out. Drum Dream Girl. This is by Margarita Engel and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. On an island of music, in a city of drum beats, the Drum Dream Girl dreamed. She dreamed of pounding tall conga drums, tapping small bongo drums, and boom, boom, booming with long, loud sticks on big, round, silvery, moon-bright timbales. But everyone on the island of music, in the city of drum beats, believed that only boys should play drums. So the Drum Dream Girl had to keep dreaming. Quiet, secret drum beat dreams. At outdoor cafes that looked like gardens, she heard drums played by men, but when she closed her eyes, she could also hear her own imaginary music. Anyway, the story goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the story goes on. Oop, a page where I have to turn everything. She listened, she learned, she took in things, she got lots and lots of experiences at festivals and carnivals and all sorts of things, and she kept drumming on tables and tapping on things with her fingers and her toes, and she thought about how she really wanted to play drums. So she just kept at it. She kept learning. She kept getting experiences. Her sisters were in an all-girl dance band. They invited her to play, but their father said no, only boys should play drums. But she just kept dreaming, kept trying, kept looking for ways to persuade her father. And then one day her father got a music teacher to give her lessons and like get his opinion. And he thought she was really good. So she practiced and practiced and practiced and finally got to do a performance. And when she did, it went really, really well. And as time went on, they helped to break this this belief that only boys should play the drums. It's a real true story about a girl called Milo Castro Zaldarriaga, and she was lived in Cuba, but she traditionally her family traced their lineage back to Africa and also back to China. So she was inspired by these like African sounds and Cuban sounds and Chinese sounds, and it all came together to inspire her to play drums the way that she did. So this book is really easy to find. When I looked this one up today, it was like $8 hardcover, which is very, very inexpensive for a book. So if you don't have it, go get it. I put a link on the links page. But how do I leave this for a substitute teacher? Well, I think that it'd be very easy for a substitute teacher to read this. The very first girl, the girl who heard the music about the pianist who was from the island and made the music school out of recycled materials. That does have some specific words and vocabulary that might throw off a substitute teacher, because I know sometimes they're a little bit more timid. It depends on your substitute teacher. And so having words in another language that's not like Spanish or something that's easily recognizable, accessible to them might be a little bit stressful, but who knows. Drum Dream Girl doesn't have a lot of those. It's a little bit simpler to read and follow through. And it's just a super cool story. The illustrations are bright. I think a substitute teacher would enjoy that. But I always like try and give subs option. So a couple years ago, I started making this set of resources that I called Book Companion resources. And so in that Book Companion resource, you get it shows you where to get the book, like links to where to get the book and all that. So you have to have the book, but it has worksheets, it has a PowerPoint, it has vocabulary, it has all sorts of things. Let me show you some of the things that are included. Let's see. So along with the book, you could use these. Ooh, sorry, we'll see if my phone will. There we go. You could use these resources. So these are the first page, there's a whole like a lesson outline, possible lesson outline of what the substitute teacher might want to do. So like read through the story, go through the PowerPoint about her life and accomplishments, read through selected vocabulary, and then there's a whole set of discussion questions they could use. On the other PDF I'll show in just a second, I have a bunch of video examples, and then there's student worksheets. So here are just a couple of the worksheets that you could do. There are a couple coloring pages. There's, if you want to skew this a little bit older, there's a whole page of like quiz things. So there's like 4 or 5 multiple choice questions and fill in the blank questions, all based around like the details in the book. So one of the questions is, the Drum Dream Girl lived on an island of music. Can you name which island she lived on? And the multiple choice gives you Australia, Cuba, Japan, or Fiji. Oh, it should be Fiji. It says Fuji. Whoops, gotta go change that. Okay, the next one, here's another page of worksheet, and this one says, the Drum Dream Girl, Milo, she loved making sounds and started to learn how to play the drums. What instrument or instruments really excite you? And there's a line there for students, and then there's like another one that says, Milo played several different types of drum. Can you name a few? And there are 4 different spots. So this, yes, is based on some of the details in the story, but also a little bit more related to the student's belief. There's a whole page where they can draw a picture that represents the story. There's a page where they can like retell the story in sort of their own words. That's one of the resources that's included. Let me show you the other one. So this one, ooh, no, that's not it. Hold on. Oh, okay, still not it. Hold on, let me find it here. There we go. Okay, so this page, let me see if I can zoom out Instagram. There you go. This page has basically the PDF version. There's a PowerPoint version of this, but it goes through her life and tells a little bit about her life. So it gives information and actual pictures of little Milo and her actual like images of her sister's band, of her playing in the band. It gives all this history and these stories. It goes on and tells quite a lot about her life. There's a page with vocabulary. This one's called Son Cubano, which means the Cuban sound. There's a whole page explaining that. There's another page with that explains Latin music. There's another one of vocabulary about Cuba. And then at the end, there's one about musical genres, because she played in several different genres. And this talks about some of the ones that come from Cuba or that she was known for. And then there's a whole page of video links. So one of them is actually her playing. So it's her sisters or in that girl's dance band, and then she has a solo in that. There's another one with music that she's played with her playing a solo. And then there's her band. There's years after when she plays and sings with her sister. There's someone who sings one, not Mila, but someone else who sings one of her very famous songs. And then there's a cool snippet from the Oregon Symphony that rereads the book and tells more about her life. Okay, let me see if I can switch back here. So those are things that I would leave for the sub. So I would leave the book. I would leave the PowerPoint either in a shared drive or on a zip drive, something like that, so that they could get to that pretty easily. And then I also have pre-printed out, because you never know when you're going to have like the emergency sub day. So let me show you sort of what I print out. So I have a whole page where I print out, and it says like masters on the front. So this includes one of the lesson plan. It includes basically one of each worksheet that they could do in case they want to like run to the copier and copy off more. And then I have pre-printed and paper clipped together in sets of like, I don't know, 25 or 30, whatever your class set size would be. I have these pre-printed out for a sub, so they could just, in an emergency, grab this this file from my filing cabinet, and in it I have the book, I have the lesson outline, and then I have several of the worksheets. So like I printed where one side it's coloring and on the other side it's that like short answer or like student ideas. Like what are, like one of the questions here is like, what are some of the places where she heard music, drumming, and happening? Her music inspired people to dance. Is there a musician or song that you like to dance? So some of it is just like things that kids can think and decide on their own, and some of it is actually information from the story. But I have 2 sets of these printed out so that kids can go through and work on that if we want. And then I have another page with just the coloring. So in case you wanted to pull this out and do this with younger grades, there are 2 class sets of that too. So I leave all of this for a sub, and I think that with the book and with the PDF or PowerPoint about her life and with the video examples and with the coloring pages with the worksheets, that a sub could expand or contract the amount of time to fit their needs. That this one book could really it could fill a lot of time for them, and it is really enriching, and it does tell students about a musician that not a lot of people know about, and it has a really cool story. And it's funny, like, because she's such a recent musician, you actually have videos that feature her music and her performing. So I think it's a really great resource to leave. If you have to do the no technology route, it can still be accessible for kids. So you could take the book if you wanted the like the slideshow of her life, but you can't use technology. You can print out the PDF version so that you have it to share with kids, and then or pass around, or you can make a flip book out of it. Whatever you want. And then also if it's no technology, if you don't want to show the videos, well, you could if you're in a technology room, but if you can't show those, you could still maybe pull it up on an iPhone or iPad or something and play it while students are working through the worksheets. You can level it up for upper grades with the questions or the retelling of the story, or you could level it down with the coloring pages and the more simple questions about her life. But whatever you do, the thing I tried to do in creating these resources is make it accessible for a substitute teacher to take it and run with it however they want. Let me show you just one more thing, if it will work. Let's see. Okay, so one last thing is, let's see if I can pull it over here. I wanted to have lots of options. So this book companion resource that I made it for, well, now I think I have 9 books that I've done this for. So I have this, you can buy them in little mini bundles, groups of 3, but you can buy them singles. So right now I have like Bach to the Rescue. I have Before John Was a Jazz Giant, Dancing Hands, Little Melba and Her Big Trombone, Beyonce, Shine Your Light, Playing at the Border, Dizzy, My Name is Celia, Coat of Many Colors, The Music in George's Head, Tito Puente Mambo King, Drum Dream Girl, Ella Queen of Jazz, What Charlie Heard, and The Dance of the Violin. So I now in my classroom have gosh, I have these preset already printed, ready to go for like 9 different books, which is amazing. So whether I want to use some for older grades, some for younger grades, it just cuts down on the amount of time that it takes for me to subplan because I already have these pre-selected, pre-printed, ready to go things. Okay, whether you use my book companion resource sets or not, you don't have to, but if you use them or not and they're helpful, great. If not, I would definitely encourage you to think, as you're thinking about subplans, to think about books because it's easy. It's something that a sub is usually comfortable sitting and doing a read aloud. You can, bring out books that maybe you don't get to teach during the year. You can bring out books that are slightly longer with narrative because a substitute teacher is always trying to fill time. So I think books give you tons of options. Okay, that's where I'm going to end today. If you have other favorite books that you love to use, especially for substitute plans, please leave that comment about that in the comments section wherever you're watching or listening to this so that other people can see that and learn from you too. There are so many great books out there, but especially books that you think translate well for substitute teachers. It'd be great to just learn about more of those. So leave that comment wherever you're watching or listening, and I'll maybe talk about them another day, or people can just see them in the comments and learn from you. Okay, thanks so much for coming along, everyone. I'll see you all next week for another Musical Mondays video. Have a great night, everyone.